Okay, been doing a lot of thinking. Oh man, my hair when I shower just looks so derpy. Been putting in a lot of thought into the design of this interior shelving space that'll go in the back of the truck. Landed on a material that I feel comfortable with. I've never worked with it before, but it's very strong, lightweight for the amount of material you have to use to make it strong, and kind of modular in its design. It's extruded aluminum. I didn't realize I was getting the smallest version. This is like the size you use to build 3D printers, but I purchased it online, didn't know that. But I think this is actually going to be really nice for framing a shelf back here, so I can maximize the amount of usable space without building something that's too strong. And like the piece I thought I would have was about 1.5 inches, and this is 3/4 of an inch. It's actually in millimeters, but it's close to 3/4 of an inch. And I 3D printed these little end caps. So whenever I make slices and chop these up to the right dimensions, I can cap them off so they're not like rough, unmachined edges. I also got them in black, which I thought would be nice. This is the like machined edge, but the facade is in black, which I think will be a nice aesthetic back here. I got some mats that are coming that'll go underneath this as the floor. And the idea is to reuse these two bends, which are very low profile. These are the same two bends I built the Subaru sleeping platform around. Actually found the bends first, got them from IKEA. What's really nice is they have a split lid system, so they open halfway through, so you don't have to slide out the entire box to get into it. You slide it out halfway, lift it, access all the stuff, put it back in. So the idea with this build is I'm going to reuse these two boxes on the ground floor, the base level of the shelving unit. And kind of convenient / inconvenient is this angle back here. I've removed 60% of the back bench seats. I'm keeping that seat so I can have me plus 2 passengers in the future if I need it, which actually was really valuable this last summer. There was multiple occasions where I had 2 friends, and I feel like the break-even point is whenever you have 4, then it's like 2 people in one vehicle, 2 in the other. But when I have me plus 2 friends, usually that's 1 vehicle. So I made the decision to keep the single seat back here, and I'm going to build the shelving so that I can utilize the space in front of it when no one's in there, but I can also pull it and reuse it as a chair for a passenger. So the flooring does this angle thing. If you can see this, it's like 2 tiers down, and the height of the top tier is almost the height of the top of this box. So I'm gonna build off the top tier a flat shelf section that can go over the top of the box, so there's no weight on the box and the box can slide in and out. And then another consideration, lots of consideration, but the constraints are we can't go above where this window is, because I'm going to remove this window and turn it into a portal so that I can pass through into the back of the truck, which will hopefully be a camper at some point. And ideally, the really fun part of this is that I want to be able to get into the living space without having to get out of the vehicle whenever I park it. This is what almost got me into a van, because my buddies in vans have this really cool thing where they show up somewhere, maybe it's raining or maybe they're being stealthy, whatever, park the vehicle, rotate 180 degrees, and you are in your home. So I'm trying to mimic that. I chose the truck because I really wanted to be able to go off-road, and this can do that a lot better than a van can. Vans can do it, but it gets expensive. This thing, it's just gonna be able to do it really well out of the box. So truck as the base vehicle, but I still want to be able to slide on through into the back. So I have a solution for that. So my solution, let's get this rocking back. My solution for getting into the back is whenever I park and I want to be stealthy or it's raining, I just slide this chair back about here so it's lined up with the side of the center console. And then built into the shelving unit, I want to put a slide essentially that goes right, it butts up to the bottom of where that glass is right now, which will be removed. The cushioned slide also comes right to the end of this console. And then as part of the roof, I want to put some kind of monkey bars here so I can park, grab these monkey bars, go across this epic slide through a portal into the back where my living quarters will be. That's like integral. That has to happen. We need that because it's too fun not to do it. And so it makes it a little complicated because the shelving, like the storage shelving unit, has to build around a slide coming through and cutting off the height at the basically right here at the center console. Has to cut off the height and allow an angle built like with the extruded aluminum. I'm gonna try to angle it and then maybe use some 3D printed parts. I'm not sure yet exactly how I'll build the cushiony part to do the pull-through slide, but I also want that slide to be able to flip up out of place, like on hinges of some kind, so that it's not always engaged, but when I need it, because I don't need a slide 100% of the time, but I do want it whenever I do want it. So I don't want it to always be taking up the space there. I think if it flips up maybe towards this side or somehow into the ceiling maybe, then I can have extra storage space there if I ever need it, or if I just want to access stuff that's underneath the slide from within the back there, I can go reach through the portal, flip up the thing, grab my stuff. So yeah, lots of consideration going on. Plus, I really want to leave this. I thought about like building it exactly around my guitars, and I considered getting my mountain bike in here at some point, and that just wasn't going to be feasible. So instead of building it around the specific things that I know I'm going to have with me right now, I want it to be modular for the future. So I'm doing less like form factor type builds and just more generic shelving. So I think the whole top of this will just be an empty shelf that maybe could have my 3D printer on it, perhaps, on the road. But also I want to, on the ceiling here, build like pillars off the extruded aluminum and then run some kind of metal lattice, like a molly panel or some kind of fencing, so I can, on carabiners most likely, hook my bags to the ceiling and they can just hang over this like modular open top shelves. I found that to be really useful before I built the shelving this last summer when I was living in it. Everything just piled on the floor, but if I could hoist stuff up and hang it, which I have a lot of bags for different activities, so it makes sense. You can like use that vertical space a lot better, and then it's not permanently filled with shelving either, so if you just unhook the bags, you'll have a lot of like headroom space up here to throw in some bigger stuff. Yeah, so I've been putting a lot of thought into this, and today we're executing. We're gonna cut some metal today. I cannot get my hair to do anything that I like, so you know what, that's just how it is. Okay, how about now we have both these bins back to back, butt to butt. They're butted up on each other. This is something I noticed this last summer too. I could configure these two all the way across and the doors still close just snugly, or I can flip them both 90 degrees like this, which I did for most of the summer, and then had access to this one, but this side's really hard to pick up, and then I inevitably just piled crap on top of these all the time, so it was really hard to pick them up. I like get the lids off. It was really hard to get into them. That's why I want the shelving unit. So because I discovered that they fit this way, I really want this to be the bottom level of the shelving unit. And so if it stays inside the blue, I pull it out about that far, I can lift this up. And so I don't want the first support pillar to come any closer than that, so that I don't have to like yoink this thing all the way out every time. Another consideration. So let's say that this blue is where my little extruded aluminum piece will rest here. From this corner, I want to be able to come as high as I can, like a pillar straight up. I'm not even going to be able to test this till I start chopping these because it's too tall to fit. But I want it to kind of thread through here as well as possible, allowing this seat to go back as far as it is right now. So no support pillars that come in contact right here. So I'm really building this thing around a ton of constraints. Vehicles are also weird shapes on the inside. Luckily, the F-150 doesn't have the center bump. Another reason I got it, versus like the Tundra or Tacoma or like another truck I was considering. The axle bump in the back seat comes through here. This one's totally flat. The only truck that does that. So that makes it a little easier for me to deal with. But yeah, so I got a lot of things I've been sitting on, pondering and considering how I really want this thing to go. And today we chop things, so it's a little nerve-wracking, but you gotta do it sometime. I'll have to figure that one out. Cut it. I made a cut. All right, I just fastened my first corner. So one thing that I did learn in my very brief, like structural engineering 101 YouTube research, maybe it's obvious, but I'll just share the information. This, if the weight was going this way, downwards, would not be the strongest type of corner joint. The better way is this way, so that the bearing, the piece that's bearing the weight is on top and pressing downward into the single spot, versus this, where it's hanging and it's really just putting a lot of weight on that joint instead of it transferring the load down into the support pillar like this. So this one is going like this. I just wanted to show you very quickly how that's gonna work. Cool, that was tedious, very tedious to line up like the T-nut and then get the two bolts in. So, and I had full control over it. I could like turn this one any way I wanted. So whenever I'm putting in more pieces and building this thing, I think it's gonna get a little nuts in there. But we'll see. I just tried to use a level to get this flat for the measurement without realizing that I am in a vehicle that's parked on an incline. Like the math ain't mathin', dog.